Welcome to We Are Venomaniacs, the Venom Site's official podcast for all of your symbiote news, reviews, and point of views. My name is Orion, and I'm joined by my fellow co-host, Carlos,
Yo, people.
Tyler,
Howdy, howdy.
and Aaron.
Hello.
All right, this is the big one, people, the long-awaited review episode. Today, we're reviewing the epic Spider-Man Spider Shadow number 3. Oh,
Woo,
The
we
epic
did
is
it.
finally here.
yeah, I know.
We've waited so long for
I
this.
mean, aren't you excited about Brock Ock? Oh, it's gonna be so great. Oh, and there
Yeah,
is
man.
also this little indie book called Venom 200, aka Venom 35, which is I guess the final chapter to Donny Cates and Friends Venom saga. But we're
Yeah,
all here.
like
Yeah.
they went from 34 all the way up to 200. Like I don't know how that worked. Like did I miss
I
those
think I
issues or
missed it.
something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's
know.
kind of
Lost
weird. We'll
episodes.
go with it.
Editorial's slipping, man.
Yeah,
All
man.
right, let's just get right into it then and get to the exciting part, Spider-Man Spider Shadow number 3. So, things come to a head in this dark what-if tale when this particularly venomous Spider-Man must contend with a Sinister Six led by Eddie Brock sporting Doc Ock's mechanical arms. Despite a few casualties, the Six successfully separate Peter from the symbiote amid an inferno. Jonah Jameson betrays the Six to save Peter upon learning Spider's secret identity and takes him back to Mary Jane. We learn that Peter wasn't fully in control of himself when bonded to the symbiote, and that in the Kingpin's final act of revenge before Spider-Man killed him, Peter's secret identity had been made public. However, the symbiote survived the blaze and, possessing Mr. Fantastic, plots its reunion with its former host with deadly implications. So, like I said, the exciting part I think about this was Brock Ock.
Yeah. We usually don't see Eddie in like any of these what ifs, and I was pleasantly surprised when he showed up and kind of randomly killed, the old Doc Ock in the last issue. And this issue, he just shows up and he's Brock Ock, like Jonas says. He is kind of just there. He doesn't really do a whole lot. There's that one line where he says, "You like ruined my life, Spider-Man," and then Spider-Man just says, "Dude, I have no idea who you are."
Yeah.
But one good thing is he's still alive, baby.
Yeah,
Alive.
there's absolutely a reason he's still alive. He's 100%. I feel like he's got to get this symbiote at some point at the end of the story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna see his version of this Venom, and I think that's gonna be real cool looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoyed the little exchange he and Jonah had as they were waiting for Spider-Man. Basically Jonah puts Eddie in his place saying, hey, you have, you want revenge on Spider-Man, but you basically ruined your own life. So, think on that.
Yeah. Eddie just doesn't even say anything. He just sort of looks away.
Telling it like it is.
I hear you, but I sure don't care.
Yeah, and so I guess we have to assume that the Sin Eater stuff happened while he was still wearing the symbiote in this timeline.
Yes, which I can forgive as long as we get some Eddie Brock in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I do like you, Aaron. I do appreciate Eddie being in the what if, because, like you said, he doesn't usually get to be. Usually, it's just like Spider-Man symbiote stuff, jumping around. But no, this is cool. I like seeing alternate Eddies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, as for me, just today, since in my area, comic stores have been closed for the past month and a half or so. So just today, I was able to get the second print for issue 1, and I got 2 and 3. So I was able to read all 3 today before we recorded this episode, and yeah, it really, to me, this is one of Chip's best work so far that I've read. I mean, I love the whole take of how Peter decide to keep the symbiote, but the symbiote, the Venom symbiote is making him aggressive. He's pretty much saying, I'm sick of all these villains coming after me. I think it's time that I kill them off one by one. And he killed Hobgoblin. He's killed some of the Sinister Six. He's killed Kingpin, and he pretty much broke J. Jonah Jameson's hand. And it's like, wow, this is like a very ruthless side of Peter that we haven't seen in this What If. So it's been a really interesting take on him so far.
Yeah. Yeah, then I'm also surprised that I didn't know where it was going because we have, 3 issues left? And
I think 2.
2 or 3, like one of those, right?
Yeah, two issues left. Yeah.
2, okay. And I was assuming we're just going to do the same old thing where he goes around killing more folks, but then at the end there's a big twist where the symbiote is actually with Mr. Fantastic and he's doing all these crazy symbiote experiment stuff, and I didn't expect that at all. So happy to see something new happen at least.
Yeah, I don't think any of us saw that coming.
Yeah.
Like it's just like Mr. Fantastic just bringing in other symbiotes or something like that.
I guess what it is Mr. Fantastic is finding a way to extract Venom's spawns.
Yeah, like the colors kind of match up. There's a few that don't really match up, but I mean, I guess we can just say that those are all of the Spawn, because you can kind of say, oh well, that one looks like Carnage, or that one looks like Phage based on the colors, but that's just a little,
But I also like that the symbiote still is it's not upset at Peter yet. It's saying, oh, it's not his fault. We loved him. He loved us. It's all Mr. Fantastic's fault. And so I like him. I like him still blaming Reed. He's like the smart man.
It's this guy's fault that he doesn't love him anymore. Yeah, so
it's still trying to insist. I still like that. It doesn't think it's evil. It thinks it's doing the right thing still.
Oh,
it's
man.
like we can save everyone.
That's very Eddie Brock of the symbiote.
It is.
Think about it,
I'm thinking, could this possibly tie into the Maker and stuff later? Maybe.
No, it won't. As cool as that be.
No, it won't.
The whole little Brock Ock name just rolls off the tongue anyway.
No, I don't think Reed's going to survive this series. I'll be honest. The symbiote's probably going to be pissed at him and just kill him.
Okay, then I also thought it was interesting because in Heroes Reborn, Flash was also the Jackal. So we have two.
Yeah.
So we have 2 Venom boys on the same day, like to be bad guys. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. You got Brock Ock and the Jackal Flash. So alternate universe bad guys.
I like it.
Yeah.
But I'll also say art continues to be fantastic. I especially loved the 2 pages I really loved are the second last page with the symbiote smiling on Mr. Fantastic, and then also that one page that's it's Steve Ditko inspired with the Doctor Strange realm that Mysterio makes as an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
That was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely the visuals are just stunning with this series. We're getting this series is a treat,
Mm-hmm.
It's great
really
writing
is,
from Chip. I think the artist's name is Pascal or something. I don't have it in front of me right now.
Yeah,
I do apologize.
Pascal Ferry.
Yeah, Pascal Ferry. Yeah. He oh my god, this art is amazing. And
I've never heard of him before, but he's so good.
But also, I
like the way he draws Eddie is chef's kiss.
Yeah,
big bushy eyebrows, slick back hair.
Is he also the colorist, or is the color someone else? Because the colors really also work.
It's different artist. It's Matt Hollingsworth, who also does a great job.
Yeah,
this is a completely professional podcast, everybody.
Yeah, I would have these in front of me, but I'm an amateur.
Look, I'm putting in the work, all right?
All right. Well, I mean, we got a nice trifecta going on here with the team. It's working, and I'm really excited to see where this What If series goes, especially if the whole thing about Chip continuing this What If line of stories and everything. I hope that the next at least one of the future What Ifs is another symbiote book that he gets to write. That'd be fun.
I'd be down.
All right. Well, anyone else have any other thoughts for Spider Shadow before we move on to the little book that we're going to talk about?
No,
I
I
think
mean,
we
that's
said
we,
what we need to say. So
Yeah, all right.
well
Say
excited
what
for the
you
next
need
issue.
to
So.
say.
Yeah, well,
yeah, next issue.
I guess we gotta talk about this issue.
I mean, I guess we have some time.
Venom
Right?
200.
Number
200.
200. Yeah, so
28 years in the making.
the
200.
it's the final
200.
chapter of Donny Cates' epic Venom saga, and with it comes a bunch of guest artists, along with Donnie's partner in crime, of course, Ryan Stegman. He has to be here for the end, as well as a lot of details to unpack. I'm not gonna, go through a whole summary of this 98 page issue. It's not really 98 pages if you remove all the ads and everything, but still, it's a long issue. And there's a lot of details, a lot of little things. Let's take
Thick.
this, let's take this almost a page at a time. Let's start at the beginning and just work our way through this. All right. First page you see when you open up this book. This was the biggest surprise for me because I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe he did this." It's an epigraph, and it's a quote from a little-known issue called Venom: Seed of Darkness. It's a flashback issue of starring Eddie Brock in his journalistic days when he encounters his first symbiote, Crowbar, my boy Crowbar, and this
We
little
still
epigraph.
haven't seen yet.
And it's really fitting, this epigraph that they start with. It's I went looking for the truth, and Lord help me, I found it. I witnessed the void that drives us to spend our lives cultivating an inner darkness. It's blacker than ink, darker than the grave. I was there, I touched it. It's very Lovecraftian, and it really suits Donny Cates'
No,
whole work here.
Absolutely, it really does. It's super fitting, and it just sounds cool. I'll be honest,
yeah.
it just sounds cool.
Yeah.
And then the next page is one of these infamous Donny Cates Ryan Stegman recap pages. It's just panel of things that have happened throughout the issue, throughout the series rather.
Donnie's greatest hits.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And then this part right here. This is one of the pages that we had previews of a few weeks
It's like
beforehand.
the only page.
The only preview page,
Yeah,
yeah.
the only page. So
Yeah.
the real shocker was that last little panel there of Old Man Eddie, and we were all dreading this, like, oh my god, what's happening here?
Yeah.
Is it a
We do
flash
a time skip.
forward?
What's going on, man?
They're gonna have to give me like a 30-minute length of time here, but yeah. Oh man, Eddie.
Old Man. And then next we jump right into Venom's cosmic adventures as the god of symbiotes. He's wielding what looks to be almost like an all black and the battle axe.
All light.
Although I don't know.
All light, like I think is what we fan
all
fan
light.
call it, like someone. Yeah. All light, yeah. And also we got a little like cameo of those little things
aliens from
from
Dark Origin.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're a peaceful race, and Venom is defending them from invaders.
Yep.
Sounds good to me.
So
Little lion gerbils is what I'm going to call them.
Yes, the lion gerbils that Noel also used. I think.
Now,
Yeah.
who was the artist on these pages? Because this is a really interesting sequence of pages.
Ooh.
It's just
That is a good question. I don't think they're all in the right.
It wasn't really
order.
familiar to me,
Okay.
but
I guess it's Kev Walker. If we go in order,
It does. The style does remind me of Kev Walker, so that
Okay,
would
yeah.
track.
all right.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is a really suiting style for this kind of cosmic odyssey that we're seeing, and the first thing that comes to my mind is almost from the series Dune, and about how when Paul Atreides becomes the Muad'Dib, and he becomes this leader of the Fremen, and then he sends out his Fremen forces on what's called the Jihad, and it's just this kind of almost religious crusade across the stars, establishing his empire. This is what that kind of feels like to me. I know. Hey, Dune's coming soon. I don't know when. They haven't announced it, but that movie's coming soon, so
Look,
it's
we're
relevant.
here to talk about cool things like Venom, not nerdy at all.
Yeah,
Kids
but
love chains. Chains are cool.
chains are cool.
Venom.
And then we see that back on Earth, Eddie Brock has his own spire in his new apartment supplied by Tony Stark. So that's interesting to see him on this kind of throne, all by himself too. It's like that's a pretty stunning visual to me. Is like, because when Carnage was on his spire during Absolute Carnage, he was surrounded by his acolytes and all that stuff. But here in this panel, we see Venom all by himself, and really he looks tired. All by himself in this huge empty room with this single tangle of symbiote matter on a throne, and I think it's a pretty stunning visual myself. And then we see, this new status quo for Eddie has really taken a toll on him and is aged him
Grandpa Eddie.
significantly.
He's old.
He's old.
Oh,
I don't like it.
Yeah, I yeah. I'm
okay,
definitely not
I
a
feel
fan.
like it's going to be hard for us
Yeah,
to talk.
let's give Aaron the floor here.
pause. Let's pause on the rest of the issue and just talk about this specifically.
Well, see, it's kind of hard for me, like, just to focus on one thing. But I guess I'll say right now, I'm not opposed to the idea of him being drained, because it makes sense. He's not a god. He's like just a man. So I'm fine with the idea of him being an old man now. But I guess that's all I can talk about since we're just on this story. So next.
Well, see, I'll just say if we're just talking about this part, I'm not a fan. To me, it just feels like it's sort of the same situation I had with when it happened to Captain America and he got old. It's just all right, when is this going to be done? That's what I just kept thinking.
Yeah.
It's just like, I know this isn't permanent. When are you going to undo this? How long do I have to wait? It's not something I'm looking forward to. I'm just waiting for it to be over, and I feel like that's not the reaction they want to get from me.
Yeah, see, this is why I kind of just want to talk about the whole thing in general. But if we just look at this at the end of Kate's story, I'm fine with this. Like, Eddie he's beaten Noel. Now he's the god of the symbiotes. He can help whoever he wants. That's a good end for this story. But of course, it being comic books, you always have to look at the larger picture. And we know, based on Captain America, Batman, Superman, every time a person gets old, I mean, yeah, they're going to have to go back to normal. But that's just how comics are. But if we're just looking from a story standpoint right now, I'm fine with it. Which is kind of, there's more I want to say, but if we're just looking at this right now, I'm just going to say I'm fine with it as it is.
We'll get into that. So should we just continue on for now, or you have something to say, Carlos?
Yeah. As for me, having Eddie like already aged as an old man, it kind of is bothersome to me. But again, there is a reason why, and we'll get to that way later at the end. I guess it does make sense that like he's the new god of the symbiotes, and he has this newfound power. He could see through all the eyes of the symbiotes, and at times he's even stated it's maddening, and it's just he's all over the place. And I guess that immense godlike power has suddenly aged him to the point of
but you could write around that. You could find a different.
I mean, but I mean, it goes into something that happens later, which we can't talk about right now because we're going in order.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's continue on then in the story.
Yeah.
All right. So next scene we see is some home life with Eddie, Venom, Sleeper, and Dylan. Kind of like a normal morning for them, and we have some pretty sweet little exchanges between. We learn that Dylan is a bit of a not really a troublemaker, but he is troubled, at school. He's got detention. He's been having some fight. He's been in some fights, not having fights. He's been in some fights. And then we also learn that the Venom symbiote, which I guess, are no longer going to be calling Venom.
I'm still going to call it Venom.
I've never called it Venom, never once in my life.
You can't stop me.
Never once.
But the other is now unique among his race because Eddie cut him off from the hive to save him from Null. So now the symbiote can operate independently without Eddie controlling him. Eddie can't control the symbiote.
I've got a weird question.
Yeah.
Do you think... What about Sleeper? Because Sleeper is like, hey, you got phone calls. Shouldn't Eddie know that if he can control Sleeper?
Well, he didn't go in the trance, in the Avatar trance. So I guess he didn't.
I have a better question. Why didn't Eddie call him out? It's like, hey, where the hell have you been? Why are you staying at my house? You didn't do shit to help me fight Null.
I would have liked to seen Sleeper more, but I'm just accepting it. I'm just happy Kate's threw us a bone and he's in here.
Sleeper is becoming
I'll live with it.
a little asshole. Not mincing words. He's really becoming a cat. This independent.
Like being a cat is like into his head. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, Spider-Man called you like 10 times. It's like, yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, okay. I'm just gonna tap the phone on the floor. You pick it up now.
I don't know.
Very cat-like thing to do.
I gotta do this crap. Yep. But yeah, there. Okay. So this is something I guess we can talk about, a little bit more later. But Eddie's age kind of fluctuates in between artists just a little bit.
That's right. Yeah.
There's
and that one error where he's straight up blonde.
Yeah, so, yeah.
There's one
straight
page.
up blonde.
Yeah.
And,
come on.
I mean, later on,
how did they not notice that error?
I mean, things happen, but it just kind of sort of confusing for me because all of the different artists draw it their own separate way, and I can't get a good grasp of how old he's supposed to be, I guess.
I mean, granted, this book has been delayed 3 times?
5 times at least.
5 times.
But yeah, but that's because they ran out of paper, dude. So
they ran out of paper.
Big book.
Hey, but I'm fine with it. But yeah, I like seeing their home life a little bit. Venom, or the Venom suit, being a dad. I like all that. A lot of folks are going, to appreciate that. I like how Dylan is sort of normal, he's going to school. They're basically living their life, but their dad goes in the basement and he talks to aliens all day. So
he's acting more like an edgy teenager nowadays too. Still.
Yeah. I mean, the symbiote's turning into a dog. That's cute, and I like how it's watching over him. So I'm cool with that. It's cool.
Okay, so next thing I'm going to bring up, and I was really not looking forward to it, but thank God, I knew it was coming, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Dylan asks the Venom symbiote the dying question that we were speculating. What's your real name?
Oh yeah.
And thank goodness Donnie didn't say, "Oh, my name's whatever." What it's more.
My
to
name's
it
Flim Flam.
Now I'll say that it's a kind of a bittersweet revelation for me because number one, I would have been completely fine with whatever name they chose for the symbiote.
I disagree with Orion, by the way.
I was completely fine with the Clintar name. I would have been completely fine with whatever Venom's name was going to actually be. But also,
I was fully prepared to bitch. I'll be honest. I was.
But also, I think it is sweeter the way Donnie handled it by saying basically, we don't have conventional names. We just have this
Yeah,
basically
and
this
that makes
feeling.
sense. I'm so glad.
Mhm.
That's like the best way to handle it, in my opinion.
Thank
Yeah.
God. And I was relieved when it was explained like that. I'm like, okay, Donnie, you get some respect points out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Except,
but I also
Yeah.
know that Donnie knows better because the first thing he did was get rid of Clintar. So he knows folks don't really want to have names for
this
their
is true.
race and their actual name. So he knew. So that's a good little thing. I liked it. So his name is just a
Well,
thing of like
what?
vibrations.
Yeah, good
You know,
vibrations.
Oh yeah, like it's kind of a cute thing between them two. Would have rather it happen between him and Eddie, but I'll take what I can get.
Hey,
Also, he says
Yeah.
the symbiote says nobody's ever asked me before. Well, I mean, Flash asked you, symbiote. So come on.
Well, he said just just next time we do this, tell me. He like he didn't ask him. He like made him like a command, and he didn't like that, so he didn't say that's what happened.
So
But yeah.
Okay.
one last thing I was gonna say that so I know it had when we were doing the review for King of Black #5, so it's pretty much confirmed. I don't know if this is too soon to mention, but it looks like Dylan no longer has his Codex powers anymore. But
Yeah.
at the same time, when Venom was linked to him, he was able to like feel those vibrations and shed a tear. And I'm like, so does he still have those
no.
powers?
He was holding the chain.
Yeah, he was.
Oh.
Basically, it was a temporary little bond that he has with Venom, so Venom can communicate.
Later on, like we kind of hear how Dylan's kind of mad because his dad took away his powers because he's not special anymore. But like we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah,
A little bit later.
Yeah.
because next up we have a really fun exchange. We have Spider-Man and Eddie once again at a little diner.
And just one thing I want to note. While I did like how they named the symbiote, I don't like that Dylan cried when he said the name. It's like, I don't know. That seems like a little much to me. It's like I think we've joked about it being the brown note or whatever. Like,
Yes. Yeah, that's like surprised. Yeah. Yeah.
As I joked about it, as I joked, yeah. I was going to say, as I joked about it. Oh,
sorry,
go ahead.
Who do we have to contact to change every single like Wikipedia like article about the Venom symbiote?
You just put but
Venom.
instead of Venom symbiote Clintar, which is still wrong, it's going to say like incomprehensible frequency symbiote.
Oh yeah, like it's like a file. It's just like a random button noise.
Here's
like
a link. Here's a link to Bandcamp.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say
yeah.
the way I joked about it is like, you want to know what my name is? Here's a vibrator and a Sony cassette player with Pink Floyd's The Wall. All right. Well, moving on. Like I said, next up we have a scene with Eddie Brock and Spider-Man meeting together once again. This is kind of a callback to the beginning of Absolute Carnage, when they were on the run. When Eddie and Dylan were on the run, they meet up with Spider-Man at this diner, and it's basically the exact. I think it's like the exact same diner, and then the exact same. Robert comes in to try. He's like, oh my god, not again!
Worst luck ever, buddy.
Yeah, but
it was pretty amusing.
But this entire the whole point of this entire thing is basically Eddie helping Spider-Man come to terms with, hey, Spider-Man has this admittedly annoying little thing about him where he takes responsibility for absolutely everything and has this whole guilt complex for anything that happens in and around him. And Eddie's just like, hey, this whole null and all this business is not your fault. Symbiotes have been around on Earth much longer than anyone realized. It's like, hey, and helping Spider-Man get a little bit of closure on that.
Well, see, I will say that it's still a little bit Spider-Man's fault, because, I mean, Carnage wouldn't be around if it wasn't for Spider-Man.
Yeah, well,
So
actually, it's Hulk's fault because Hulk said, "Hey, use that machine over there," and then
no,
it's the person
he just
he
said
fought.
Hulk was just like, oh yeah, there's a machine in there. They just didn't tell him which one. Spider Man's
Right.
like, all right, this must be it, and he just like tapped buttons.
Yeah. But like, I
So
mean, there's a little cute story.
it
No,
was a very
yeah.
cute moment between them both. I do like the fact that Eddie and Peter are just straight up friends now. They're straight up friends, allies, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Best
You know,
buds.
I like the camaraderie they have between each other. Like they've been around, so
Mm.
it is something I enjoy to see. Like Eddie's not like Peter said. It's like I don't think like he joked about him going back to a villain, and he's not a villain anymore. He's a
But he
good
will
guy.
be. Just give it some
Oh,
time.
Don't say that.
And I really love this one little exchange they have where Spider-Man asks him if he's doing all right, and he says, "Yeah, I'm doing good." And then Spider-Man says, no, Captain America does good. You're doing well." And then Eddie corrects him like, "No, I meant what I said." He's like, "One of us was the journalist, Shutterbug." I love that. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's great.
It's fun. It was very fun.
And then also in the same scene, we get to see Eddie use his newfound godlike powers. And I like the part where he thinks that he's distracted. He's like, I'm just going to steal a fry from Eddie's plate. And he just still slaps it out of his hand. He goes like, fine, I don't want the carbs anyway.
Spider sense, baby.
Yeah. Though I will say, I'll be honest, wasn't as big of a fan of the art on this part. Is this Ron Lim who did this part?
I was thinking, was it Ron?
Based on the Venom bats, I'm going to say it's Ron. So,
yeah, it just I don't know. It wasn't doing it for me. It felt kind of rushed almost, and just it was very simple lines. Like, see, Spider-Man looks good. Spider-Man looks good, but Eddie didn't look so good. And then, yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't working for me. And then those Venom bats were just weird. Like, he could have chosen. I mean, I guess he could just do anything, any form he wants, but. Why did they look weird?
Bats?
They
look
they look like rejected Pokemon designs.
Like, wow, this was like one of my favorite parts in the whole entire book. But again, the inconsistencies in the art was just, I don't know, not it's
I mean, it was a pretty simple story, so I'm not too upset about the art. I also like that they threw in the detail that Eddie isn't taking over them; they're letting him do it. So it's not like he just goes in and just takes them over.
No,
so like he just
what I read from this is that was not his physical body at all. That was just a bunch of symbiotes composing Eddie.
It might have been. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because.
Well, actually, Orion, I think he's right. Yeah.
It was definitely no. Orion's right. Yeah, just because he was at multiple different locations at the same time, so they couldn't have all been the real ones.
Yeah.
I
think Eddie's been home this entire time. The real Eddie body is at home.
I mean, I guess, but I would assume that he wants to go out and actually meet his friend Peter. I don't think he wants to be rude, but
I mean, he's rude to the Avengers.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm just going to say it's up for like interpretation.
Yeah.
But it also brings the question though: does he need the Spire then? Like, what's the
I guess the Spire's for when he's doing stuff on other like big battles and shit on other planets.
Yeah.
Okay. So like,
need to keep the focus for that.
Like I'm going to say this later, but it's kind of like a Cerebro thing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, yeah.
Oh, and finally, Spider-Man doesn't say he hates symbiote stuff.
He says that was actually kind of cool.
Yeah. I was actually thinking he was going to say at the end, like, God, I hate symbiote stuff. I'm like, oh my God, Peter, really?
Yep. But instead, he liked it.
It subverted your expectations, didn't it?
Yeah. All right. So then next up, we get some a little preview of Eddie's omnipresence going on. He's talking to a bunch of different teams: the Avengers, the Guardians of the Galaxy, the X-Men, and everything all at the same time. We get some cool page. We get a nice little page.
This is the same artist who did the Web of Venom Wraith issue, I believe.
Yeah, looks
okay.
like it. Yeah, and we got a cool.
It's cool, and it also gets funky.
We
I like
get a sighting of Agent Ann.
And Nova, my boy Nova. Just there for 3 panels.
Yep. And then it kind of leads into the fact that there's this lingering plot thread that I guess Donnie's going to basically spin into his own event later on about the Maker. The Maker is still on the loose. He's in he used the
Ultimate Universe.
symbiote. Yeah, he used the Ultimate Symbiote, Ultimate Venom Symbiote to travel to the Ultimate Universe, and then this Council of Reeds basically told him, hey, if you want to be part of us, you got to fix your universe, and that means for the Maker, I'm going to have to invade the 616 universe. So it's going to be this whole issue.
Yeah, then Eddie's like using his like new like powers, like hang out and he's basically talking with everyone except the Fantastic Four, right? But like I like that, that's kind of cool, and it also makes
F you, Reed.
Yeah, that he's still Venom here too, and supposedly there was an issue with of course we don't I don't really read the X-Men books, but he would not be allowed in the council or something, or to sit at the council or something.
I mean, when he can be flying symbiote dragons, I mean he can just get there. It's fine.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. He, I like seeing the display of his powers, and it gets kind of weird because he also mentions how he sees beyond dimensions, and he can maybe travel between them too. So very
well, it's not only that, he mentions he can possibly like change events in history, which seems like a bit of a stretch to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like he shows himself in church with his dad, and then the symbiote on Battleworld, and so it's like I don't know. That feels weird to me that symbiotes will just be able to travel through time. I don't know. I feel like Eddie's just making shit up there. He doesn't know shit.
Or
like he said, he's not omniscient. He's not omnipotent or whatever. Or omniscient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, maybe Cates is just like throwing in something that maybe someone can do later, because apparently he's just never going to write Venom again. Period. But I don't know if that means that he'll throw him in other stuff later. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
I bet that's like a Venom the End reference or something.
Yeah, maybe. But like I'm just wondering if he meant like he's not going to write Venom period, like as in a book, or if he's doing like a Thor thing, he can throw Venom in there. Like, you know what I mean? But I don't know, because I feel like if he's going to go into this whole like Ultimate Universe thing, he would touch back on Venom and the symbiotes. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Just very interesting stuff that we don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah. And I like the little piece of continuity where he kind of spaces out and Iron Man's like, hey, you still here, bud? And it's just connecting back to that diner scene with Spider-Man. Like, yeah, he's just trying to steal my fry right now.
He's unfocused. Yeah.
Yep.
And then, of course, at the end of this whole sequence, he mentions, he can't be an Avenger. It's not his place right now. But he does know somebody, and that leads right into the next sequence, which is seeing Flash Thompson.
Yeah, boy.
Flash, baby, pew 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 pew.
And he says he's a stay-at-home dad these days, which I'm going to talk about later.
Oh, you're talking about Eddie, yeah. But
yeah.
So first thing is the first page we see is, of course, Flash Thompson's Agent Anti-Venom.
Beautiful splash page. Big splash page. Sandoval.
But we also see Guardsmen. They've been really popping up a lot recently, and as we learn in this sequence, they've kind of taken on a new role as basically the police / executioners of symbiotes.
Yeah, they're the Sentinels, and symbiotes are the New Mutants, so everyone hates them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it does make sense. After all, like, what, 3 recent symbiote invasions?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but yeah, no, Flash is back. He hasn't told anybody because he's like, I've been around in the superhero business long enough to. The ones who come back don't always stay back. I've been back for literally 8 minutes, so he has not told anyone. So we don't get to see Andy or Spider-Man reconnecting with him or anything. Is that we're saving that for Extreme Carnage. But
Yeah.
right now, Flash he dug himself up out of the grave and he just needs some coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee, yeah.
Hashtag relatable.
Yeah.
Coffee.
And it was quite surprising, just the sudden violence, because this poor barista gets shot like right in the head. It's like, oh my god, that was like brutal. And then of course,
like you said, very violent, and they show it on the panel.
I was like, oh my god, yeah. And then of course it turns out, oh, that kid was wearing a symbiote, so he's fine.
Yeah. Like, symbiotes have been known to repair heads somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I will say that I kind of like that. It feels like a callback to the original Planet of the Symbiotes Fallout, where like some people just had symbiotes after symbiote invasions, and they were okay with that.
Yep.
And
George.
like he says here, he's like, yeah, rip in peace, George, xenophage, gotcha. But yeah, it's just how the guy's like, oh yeah, I had terminal cancer, and the symbiote's like stopping me from dying. Like, this is like, why would I get rid of it?
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, and we get to see this awesome action scene of Flash just tear through these guys, and like you said, it was violent, and Flash continues to make it violent because he thinks that they're here for him, and. Yeah, he just. I don't know if he killed. It seems like he killed some of them at least.
He probably killed them.
Yeah.
He probably killed them.
Yeah, I think he did.
So
yeah, like I mean, I know this is kind of against Flash's thing, but I think it would have been cool if he had like the classic anti-Venom look like going on, because he's really giving off Eddie Brock vibes here, and he's not acting very soldierly. Like he's straight up like throwing the symbiote against the wall like the Stretch, and he's caving in dudes' skulls. Like, it would have just been nice to have like a monster form. You know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, they're trying to kill a young guy, and it's all basically a kid.
I guess. I want to see Flash get a mean like he did back in his old days, and just show like an anti-Venom look.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know the relationship between him and this new symbiote yet. Like, does the symbiote have a mind of its own? I'd love to, get more into that. Like.
Okay, like we don't even know, like it.
Isn't it just a synthetic version of the anti-Venom?
We don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, we don't know if this did it just give him back the anti-Venom symbiote, or did it is this the dragon symbiote? We don't know.
But I feel like it's just going to be the synthetic one, and they're kind of just going to gloss over it like
they're gonna. I think you're right. I'm pretty sure they're calling him Agent Anti-Venom, and he's just gonna have his Agent Anti-Venom powers. They're gonna hand wave it, say he's just back to life as Agent Anti-Venom.
Right, and he's probably not a skeleton, either, because like Cletus was a skeleton and he wasn't even fully healed and all that stuff. I
will forever just say that was bullshit, Gleason. In ASM, he should not have been a skeleton.
Yeah. Well, he should be some sort of like decomposed, you know what I mean? But yeah, I feel like they're just gonna hand wave it. But who knows? It could be wrong.
Yep.
I mean, could have just regenerated his body just like that. So.
Well, like we're supposed to revive, like Carnage too. So maybe there could be a thing where, oh well, I need to get my old like body back too, and all this other stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. But then this story ends with Flash's secret identity is now known to everyone. So no secret identity for him.
And so this is kind of a side thing, but I saw a few people kind of concerned that his legs are fully healed now. Folks are used to him, or they like him being in a wheelchair.
No, I mean, yeah, it's
you do.
Representation for. No, I do. Yeah. I like him being in a wheelchair and having prosthetics. Like, and so I do hope he's still disabled, and it would feel very cheap if he just suddenly has his legs fully back.
But he came back to life very cheap too. So
no, what are you talking about? Very cheap. Throwing a dragon into a grave isn't cheap. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Metal as hell. You'd be okay. You were okay with it when it was Carnage. You
Yeah,
hypocrite.
and it's Carnage, and he's cool.
Lifted half from Sentry, and then
And
he
he's
grew
a
back
skeleton.
somehow.
That's
So, yeah,
also
so-
cool.
We don't know either way if there's actual legs under there
Flash
or if it's
just keeps
just
all his
stilts.
like resurrection hand away.
You know what? You shut the hell up. Flash is the best.
Listen,
You're
listen,
just jealous.
I-
See, okay, listeners, we'll talk about it later, but Aaron's going through the stages of grief right now. So
Yeah.
you'll have to excuse him.
I'm taking that copium, baby. Copium turned up fully max.
All right.
All right.
Let's go ahead and move on to the next scene, which we're moving on to Midtown High, where we get to see
And that's pretty cool. I like the Midtown High.
Yeah, Dylan Brock's school life. He's been here apparently for 2 months, and he's been having issues getting beat up or get in fights, and we get
And I just want to say, as an educator, I'm tired of people throwing in this, oh, like this kid's getting beat up, like he's being bullied. You know, that would not happen in a current school system. So stop doing it. Lazy excuse. Stop it.
and then we finally get a 616 version of Kenny Kong. If no one knows who that is, from the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, he was a recurring cast member of Peter Parker's high school, and he even dated Kitty Pryde for a while.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
although I don't like this version because he's more Flash than that Kong guy.
Is this a new Agent Venom I see?
Yeah.
It's weird
No.
because technically we've already had a 616 Kong. It was in
Have
like
we
this.
now?
We have. It was like it was in a Star Brand and Night Stalker or something. It was some like book that only lasted 6 issues, but pretty sure they went to some sort of high school and then there was a guy named Kong or whatever, and it was just
Well-
and everyone forgot about that. So
Exactly.
Well, this one's drawn by Mark Bagley, so I tend to believe this one is, real.
Yeah.
This was done by Mark Bagley.
And we see that
Yep.
that Dylan has a lot of repressed anger going on. He imagines this entire scene of getting back at Kong and really laying the hate in on him, and just, oh my gosh, it's just it's
To
violent.
the point where he looks like he killed him, but
About
it
to
was
kill
all
him.
hatred.
just about to kill him,
Yeah.
but then it was a dream, and he just gets his face punched in.
Now here's the thing.
Yeah.
The caption boxes, as this is all going on, is that Dylan speaking to himself? Because he's telling himself, you got to stop, you got to calm down, blah blah blah. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like he's begging himself to stop imagining this. You think-
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's him.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like he has yellow speech rolls that he has like gray ones.
yeah.
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 So yeah, and it turns out Dylan's not doing so good.
Yeah.
He's
being
not
a
in a great
bad
mental
boy.
place.
Yeah, definitely. And then
Yeah.
that kind of leads into this kind of final chapter, this final segment of the book, drawn by Ryan Stegman, and it's very reminiscent of the Abyss arc. It's dark, it's rainy. We have Dylan walking home with Venom as a dog, and we got this whole thing about this whole monologue by him, basically saying, I'm just so angry. I'm so angry with my mother for giving me away, for my grandfather for hurting me, or my dad taking away the only thing that made me special, my powers. Like, oh my gosh, he just has all this anger in him. And then,
which is understandable. Like, I understand like all these points. Like after a few other like rereads, I understand why he's upset.
See, it really kind of harkens back because he feels like he's lost everything, just like how his dad lost everything when he was the journalist at the Daily Globe, and now he just wants to hate on everyone, but like on a grander scale. And yeah, and I agree with Orion. Like this whole sequence that Ryan Stegman drew, it really homages the Abyss arc like almost perfectly well. So
yeah. And then
Yeah,
then they get distracted.
It's had a tough time.
Yeah, they get distracted by a scream in the alleyway, and who shows up but freaking Jack-o'-lantern, the same one that's
Good
been.
old jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
best
boy.
one, the good
Donnie's
one.
jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah,
The,
Donnie's
the good
Jack-o'-lantern.
one.
So far in this issue, we've had two, Z-list.
A lot of callbacks.
A lot of callbacks. We had the guy at the diner getting his ass beat again by Venom and Spider-Man, and then we got freaking Jack-o'-lantern back, and this guy, this guy just can't catch a break. And so, Dylan's like, hey, what was it he said? He said, my dad always said something about innocence. So it's like, you can kind of see things starting to form here with Dylan. Starting to notice, because we also learned a little bit earlier in the issue that apparently his middle name is Eddie. Dylan Eddie Brock.
Edward, yeah.
Yeah, so we're starting to see the shape of things to come here. And so the Venom symbiote is like, oh, you know what? Get behind me. He starts to get big and gonna go chomping down on Jack, and Jack shoots a gun, passes through the symbiote, and hits Dylan. And again, very reminiscent of the very beginning of this whole series, where Eddie's just getting shot up and everything, and the symbiote's like, oh, I gotta heal you and all that, and
I'll be honest, dick move from the Venom symbiote not to just block the bullet.
right?
Yeah, which is done plenty of times before.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You know there's a kid behind you.
Oh well.
Oopsie.
Yeah,
he was dog brain. All right, he wasn't thinking straight.
yeah,
Probably, yeah.
and of
But
course,
it's okay, because he's fine.
we have a little bit of redemption here with Jack-o'-lantern. He realizes, oh shit, I didn't mean to kill this kid, but then he realizes, oh shit, this kid is Eddie Brock's kid. Like, oh crap. And yeah, the symbiote starts to. The interesting thing is we start to see the symbiote as he's helping Dylan, starting to form chains.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Interesting.
And then next page we see Dylan becomes the next Venom.
The new Venom.
Mm-hmm.
Venom.
Man,
Jr.
I want to talk about it after we talk about everything else. So just keep going.
Yep. So so this new Venom, he has chains wrapped around his wrists or arms, and then the spider symbol is not a spider; it's a dragon.
The white dragon logo. He kept the dragon logo.
And he lays waste to Jack, and I assume he kills Jack, or at least really disfigures him.
Yeah, he'll just.
He's mashed.
This Jack's been through a lot, so I'm assuming he survived.
Yeah.
He's been through a lot.
And then next thing we see, Venom heads home with Dylan, and Eddie's out there waiting, and Eddie's like, I saw this coming, but he's not mad because he's like, hey, there's, what was it he said? He's like, there's two things I want you to be. It's happy and safe, and I can't help you with the happy part right now, but stick with the symbiote and you will always be safe. And so he's kind of passing the torch on to Dylan, and Dylan is kind of christened as the new Venom. And of course, the whole thing from before, when Dylan was alone with the Venom symbiote and wanted to know what Venom's name was, the whole name business comes back, and I really appreciated this from Donnie, because my huge thing about the Venom moniker is that it's unique for me. It's unique to the relationship between the symbiote and Eddie Brock. They are Venom. You put anyone else together with the symbiote, and for me, they're not Venom. They're someone else. You have to have a different name for them. But this is really touched upon here, is like, because Dylan makes the point of when the symbiote and Eddie were together, they were Venom. So what is the symbiote called by itself? Well, the symbiote finally tells Dylan what its name is. And then Dylan's like, well, what do I call myself? Because, I'm not Venom. and he's like, you know, you and the symbiote were Venom, and then Eddie says, uh, we no, we're not Venom anymore, or something like that, and he's like, no, we are Venom, the three of us, because you know I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to do the one thing that I wish I had in my life, and you know, be the father and be here for you. So
The
But
yeah.
Venom
let's be
bunch.
honest, he's Venom. Let's be honest.
Exactly. But
Yep.
but here we have it. We have this passing of the torch, and then I, it's crazy. I'm right now scrolling through this. It seems like Eddie's beard grows as
Yeah.
this whole thing goes on. His beard gets longer and longer.
Oh, I bet his beard is
Yeah.
actually a symbiote. And it's just-
Yeah, it's crazy, but he's like, okay, show me your new Venom suit, and he's like, oh, this is pretty cool. It's like, it's like, what is it? He says, it's
You
big.
sure about the
Change.
chains?
Yeah, it's big,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like
It's
almost
big.
it's almost like movie Venom size. You know how movie Venom's like what
He goes, "You're a big
8
guy, Dylan. For
Yeah.
you."
And then it's like, oh, and the change is, and it's like, yeah, Dylan's like, yeah, I think webs are kind of outdated, so I decided to go with chains because I read them in the comics I read, and I'm
like
sure that
chains.
Spawn,
I see what Donnie
Hit.
did there.
yeah,
I see what he did there.
More like Hit, I
Harkering
think,
back
but
to
yeah.
Todd's words.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so yeah, and then it's like, all right, well, I approve this, and by the way, there's this thing. There was an explosion at a warehouse and inciting goblins. Are you ready? And Venom's off for his first mission, and that's the end of the story.
Being the new lethal protector. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Venom 200.
Well,
Hold
Yeah.
on.
Yay.
Wait.
no. Let's go ahead and
Nope.
just discuss before we move
Let's talk
on.
about this first. We can end on a positive note.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
with that thing.
That's
Okay.
fair.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here for me. You know, I agree that the symbiote should be watching over Dylan. And I guess it is inevitable for him to bond with it and become a new form of Venom. You know, I like all day I've been going back and forth how I feel about this. And I guess the only thing I can say is that I'm going to have to see how it's handled later on, because Eddie's right. You know, like they were going to bond at some point. I just don't think that why would Eddie be fine with his son being Venom and with all the things that he's experienced and he's done all for him? But that could be something that they touch on in the later series is that Eddie doesn't want his son to be violent. He just wants him to be kind of a Spider-Man figure. But I mean, I don't know. I just don't know that the Eddie that Cates has written would be fine with his son, who's literally like in middle school or like high school, whatever, you know, like to go out and just start killing people. I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
but again-
what wasn't the whole thing? I don't want you to inherit my darkness, and then
Yeah.
they just. But I'll let you be Venom, though.
Yeah, but you know, like I said, maybe they'll switch it up, and he just wants him to be Spider-Man. He doesn't want him to go out and like murder people. But I'm just gonna have to see, because you know, like I said earlier, this is a good ending point if this was the last point, like we'll ever see Venom again. But we know it's going to continue as it always does, and that's where my worries start to go in. So as an end for a series, this is good. I like it. I just wish Dylan was an adult, you know, and not in high school. But if this was the end for Venom for the rest of the time, I'd be fine with it. But like we said, you know, comics are always flowing. They always have to do something new. So yeah, okay. So I got more stuff to say later, bro. But I'll let you guys throw in some stuff now.
All right. I'll say I still don't like Old Man Eddie. I don't like that idea. I don't like him being frail or anything like that. I don't like the idea. I mean, I guess I'm okay a bit with the whole him being a god idea, but for a while.
Yeah.
But I will give Dylan being Venom a pass. I'm warming up to the idea.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, I guess I guess I'm just going to keep talking. I think the main problem is Sleeper. I don't want to throw things in like Donnie Cates' head about like what he was thinking, but it seems like Sleeper caused an issue somewhere along the line. You know what I mean? Like with like King and Black, Sleeper just didn't show up at all. And from what makes sense to us, at least, it would make sense if Sleeper was the one that was watching Dylan because they already have a bond, and the Venom suit just stay with Eddie. You had Venom, you had the son of Venom that was Sleeper, but it seemed like Cates or someone wanted to go a different like direction and just want to make Dylan Venom. So they kind of just had to kind of ride out Sleeper just a little bit, but we'll still say he's around. So I feel like that's might have what happens, but that just I don't know.
As for me, for Venom 200, yeah, I agree with Orion. Like, it's gonna really it's so weird having Eddie just being rapidly aged to an old man now. I mean, with his new godlike powers. For me, like Venom 200 kind of really started slow in the first quarter, and then it started really picking up like the second half until the end. I kind of did see it happening. Venom bonding to Dylan and then becoming the new Venom. And again, we don't know how things are going to turn out in the new series, and we could speculate. Dylan might not be Venom for a very long time, and and again, I agree. Like, I really wish Sleeper would have bonded to Dylan, and then Venom just stay with Eddie, because it would have made sense. But again, I guess they're going in a different complete path of what they're trying to do. And again, I have my expectations for the new series, but again, we got to wait until November until it drops.
Well, like at least like July when the Free Comic Day issue comes out, right? So
yeah, that too. But again, overall, like Venom 200 was a really solid issue. Like again, Ryan Stegman killed it on the art, Bagley too, and the rest they did their own fine jobs here and there. But yeah, it was a really well worth read. So yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone else want to say something for ramble on?
Yeah.
About
No.
topic?
I'll throw in my 2 cents. So here's the thing. Overall, I'll say for this whole issue, I would say the writing was good. The dialogue was good, and like one of my favorite parts is the relationships that he does between the characters. I really like all of that, and all of it works. But I just don't like the plot points of Eddie being old and Dylan being Venom. It's just weird. It's just I might need more time to process it, but Eddie being old just feels like a very bland ending to this whole run. It's
okay.
it just he
It's been in my head all day. Single word: unearned. His age was unearned.
I don't even know if I'd necessarily agree with that. It just feels like he made Eddie A-list, right? Like I think we can agree Venom is A-list now. Like this was one of the best-selling books at Marvel.
It's always been A-list, maybe.
Yeah. But no, like this book specifically, like brought Eddie to the forefront. Yep. Where it's like this is. I would say this is one of the books that defines Eddie Brock as a character in the modern age. Yep. And it just, to end it on like, oh, he's old now, just a guy in a chair. Like, I get that he's doing big god stuff in space, but it doesn't feel satisfying to me.
No.
I just wish, like, and plus, I don't I don't know about the whole Dylan thing. It just paired with that, letting him be Venom. Like you said, I think it would have been way better if he's Sleeper. Now that he can bond with symbiotes, just let him be Sleeper. You got Son of Venom, Son of Eddie, put them together. There you go. That's Sleeper. And I
but
think
it's
it would
too
have been.
obvious. We got to do something different.
I don't care if it's obvious. It would have been
That's
nice
what
to
the
see.
fans
Like
want.
I'm the guy who doesn't even care about Sleeper all that much. I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah.
But I think that I would have been sort of all right with that. But I don't know. I don't know. It just I think the chain thing is idiotic. I don't care. I do not care that he like it feels like a meme. It feels like a meme. Like Donny Cates has made like Kids Love Chains a meme. Like I feel like my eyes like rolled back in my head when I said like, oh
Yeah, like I mean, I'm trying not to be too negative, but yeah, and like
it was like his cheap
Aaron,
way
you're
of
allowed to be
nodding
negative, all
Todd
right?
and McFarlane.
yeah,
So.
yeah, I suppose. Yeah, like I mean, the run's over. Like, what's Kate's gonna do? You know, what's he gonna do?
He's gonna kill Scorn again. Is what he's gonna do.
Right. All right, but like I have loved this series. I have supported the series, and I bought like 10 copies of like the book today. Like totaling up to over $100. So I'm allowed to criticize, right? So don't take it personally if anyone's listening. But yeah, I think the design is not changed enough. I think all you did was just made them big, which is what a lot of folks already do, and then you just gave the spider a little twirl at the bottom.
I'd
and
agree
then you
with
gave
that.
him change.
I'd agree with that.
I mean, he could have.
Like,
it would have made more sense if he used his Codex emblem. That would have made more sense.
Right, see, that's what I'm saying. Right? They should have at the very least, gave him the 4 lines that he has on his legs, on his arms when he was Codex. That'd be a fine enough change for me. But you literally only changed two major things about his design. So what's the point? Well, that was a bad one. So what's the point?
Yeah. So like overall, I wouldn't even say this isn't bad. It's not a bad thing, but it's just something. It's something I'm meh.
Yeah.
It's just I'm more indifferent to it than anything, and I don't want to feel like that going into a new run.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's I don't know. It's just disappointing. Granted, I still like this issue a lot. And
yes.
I'll be honest, it does help that I'm a Flash Thompson fan, and I got out of this home free with him.
Yep.
I am Flash fans stay winning.
Yeah.
And now with Venom 200, now that we read it, now we're gonna look forward to Extreme Carnage.
I'm not done yet. Hold on. Hold on. I'm not done. Okay. Old Man Eddie. I do feel like it's earned that he has this godlike power. And it makes sense that there's like drawbacks, but again, going back to like the very first story, why does Eddie even have to do this? There's no reason for him to be doing this, and that's probably something they're going to hit in the new series as why is he still doing this when he doesn't have to? He's only killing himself, and he's just letting his son like go out and be a vigilante that he probably doesn't. Even want him to do.
And even the worst part, even in the beginning of the issue, he says he's happily glad to give up his lifespan to do that.
Which is, which is hopefully something they'll touch on. But
can't he just let the symbiotes do their own thing? Like, hey, go actually be like good guys in the universe. That's all I ask.
And don't spawn too much either.
He just likes attention, that's just Eddie.
That's fair. Eddie does like being the hero.
He just wants to be that guy. And I love seeing him like talk with all these different folks around the Marvel universe, even if he is just a goo ball. I still like that. But yeah, I mean, like one of my major also issues is that, they can say, oh, we are Venom together, but at the end of the day, he's not Venom anymore. He's just a dude in a chair. And that's why I would have liked him to be with Sleeper at least. Like, I want him to have a name. He's not Toxin, he's not Scorn, he's not anything. He's just old man in a chair, right? But, the preview for the new series kind of made me feel better because even when he's in his chair, supposedly, right? He still has the spider symbol, so maybe he is still going by Venom. Again, my whole thing is I'm just gonna have to wait and see. But as an end of a story, I'm fine with it. Um, but this is this comic books. We're just gonna have to see what happens. So
All right.
yeah, we're gonna have to see what happens.
I think that is a good place to put a pin.
Hold on.
Oh.
Hold up.
We have a very important page to discuss.
Well, no. I mean, yeah. I mean, in the main Venom number 200 story, we're done talking about that. But
love the whole series. Little bad taste in my mouth at the very end, but we'll talk about all this stuff later.
Yep.
Yes.
So we get a nice little treat. Final page. Chris Giarruso's Mini Marvels makes a return for a special symbiote reunion barbecue.
Heck yeah!
Yes, and I always love I love the Mini Marvels that had Venom back from the 07, 08. There was 3 good ones, and for no reason at all, they all focused on not just Venom, but on Eddie Brock, and this was the prime time when this was Mac. So I love those those series a whole lot.
Chris has good taste. All right.
Yeah. So seeing it come back was a very nice thing. I loved it.
This is unironically my favorite page of the issue. It's just I feel like this was so unexpected. Yeah. Even though I knew he was working on the book, I think he had mentioned it or something. I just wasn't expecting this. We got the fact that I get this very amusing page. The jokes are good. The jokes are solid. And then you have Flash and Andy sharing a drink together, cleaning glasses. You got the Life Foundation symbiotes, so just hanging out as siblings.
Scorn's there.
Yeah, Scorn is there, exactly.
Scorn is there. You got Toxin, I think he's kind of half and half. He's not really drawn the right way.
And then you get Carnage being a dickbait. Hey, have you heard our Lord Destroyer Null?
Yeah, he's.
Then Eddie still has the buck tooth back in the old comic. I love it.
Tooth is still there.
Spider-Man's constant stream of backhanded compliments. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, I love it.
So he still gives him a burger.
Loved it.
And of course, the symbiote no longer has a craving for brains now that they've experienced cheeseburgers.
Yes.
Yes.
Cheeseburger.
Can I have cheeseburger?
Sleeper Cat can't have cheeseburger. That's an old one for you youngins out there. That's an old meme. Ancient meme.
All right. Well, that concludes Venom 200 and Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman's entire run.
Thanks for the memories.
Oh, yeah, guys. Yep. Love the series. Just a little few things at the end. But I loved the series over the last 3 years. I got every single issue. I was feeding good as a Brock fan for the first time in forever. So I am happy.
And we will be back probably next episode or something like that. We're going to do a comprehensive review of Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman's entire Venom saga. Just, a nice big overview, kind of ask a few burning questions that are left over, that kind of thing. So it'll be fun. Now, shortly before Venom number 200's release, Marvel revealed the next creative lineup for a new Venom series coming in November, including 2 preview images depicting what we now know are Dylan's Venom and perhaps, we're not quite sure, Eddie's spacefaring Space Knight reminiscent symbiote avatars. It's a kind of a brand new design. It looks like Venom, but after this issue, I'm thinking that it's not Venom. It's just Eddie Brock remote piloting some symbiotes.
I'll say this too. I am very happy we got both those images, because if we just got the photo of what we now know is Dylan, I'd be kind of sad, well, is Eddie not going to be involved in this at all? But now, looking back, I can feel confident that Eddie's going to be involved, seeing that we have those two photos. So
Yeah. And then the new creative team includes a co-writing team of Al Ewing and Ram V with art by Brian Hitch. Now, Al Ewing is best known by Marvelites for his award-winning Immortal Hulk series, and funny enough, Donny Cates is taking over the next Hulk series, so they're kind of switching places here. And then Ram V is better known in the DC sphere for his work on a few Future State tie-ins, Justice League Dark and Catwoman. And then Brian Hitch is known for his work on the Fantastic Four and the Ultimates.
Yeah, sounds good.
So I know that there is a bit of friction in the community with this new lineup. At least for the artist side, I guess. I'm not familiar enough to know what the issues are. From the preview pages we've seen by Brian Hitch, it looks fine to me. I don't know.
I've never been a huge fan of Brian Hitch. I know some of his DC stuff. I'm just not a fan. That's all. It's nothing particularly wrong about it. I just don't. Not a huge fan of the style. But that's just me. I don't know anything about him personally.
Is involved and he doesn't die, I'll be fine.
Yeah. And I've read a few issues of the Immortal Hulk, and I was impressed by what I've read. So I'm looking forward to what's next.
It's Ewing. I love Ewing. I'm fully on board with his Guardians of the Galaxy right now. His Immortal Hulk is the most I've ever been interested in the Hulk. And I could go on about other stuff he's done, like Agent of Asgard and Ultimates. And so I'm a very big Ewing fan. I don't know much about Ram V, and my guess is I've heard good things from Catwoman and Swamp Thing, but we know Ram V from the symbiote story he did in Carnage, Black, White, and Blood. He did the one of the stories in I think issue 2 or 3. It was the last story with in the Arctic with the meteorite. He did that.
Right.
So
right, yeah.
it wasn't the best story, but it was fine. But so my bet is because Ewing is so busy with a lot of books right now. He's doing Guardians of the Galaxy, doing Sword, he's finishing up Hulk. My guess is that Ewing will be doing the plots, and then Ram V will be doing the actual writing and dialogue. So, but we'll see how it works out between them.
Yeah. But
Okay.
but now we have to wait till November.
Yeah,
At least
we got a
July.
very nice thing to tide us over, though.
I know,
Extreme Carnage,
but
baby.
but
Flash
Venom's going to
is
be there.
back.
The thing about the
I
Venom,
want to
though,
see Andy and Flash hug.
Yeah.
But if the free comic book issue is not to what we like, then there's going to be some issues. But if it's good, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But this also leads to the question of why isn't Venom going to be in Extreme Carnage?
It's a very good question.
Because
I have no idea.
if Eddie has all this god powers, does Carnage have like a Magneto helmet on or something? Like how can he?
But
I got a feeling Carnage is gonna probably I'm gonna steal that god power. It's gonna be mine. Ha ha.
Well, okay. Random thought. This is a long shot. This is definitely not going to be the case. But there was a second symbiote spire, right, in California or in San Fran.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
You don't think Carnage is somehow going to use that to get his own power?
I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, based off all the issues, well, the issues are just called based off the names, but there's no Venom issue I don't know. Who knows?
Yep,
we will find out. Yep.
All right. Now, before we close out, I want to kind of make a note here. This is very funny because I feel like we as a podcast have come full circle. When we began this podcast back in December 2016, we basically created this podcast to review the first issue of Costa's new Venom series right after the whole Flash series and everything. So it was as I titled it in the episode, it was the end of Flash Thompson's era as Agent Venom, and now here we are at the end as far as we know, the end of Eddie Brock's era as Venom and the beginning of Dylan's era as Venom. So, I feel like this is pretty significant for our podcast that it's almost a parallel from that first episode because you guys for the I think three of us, I know it was Carlos and Tyler, we were all
Well,
three on this.
I was not a host at first for like the first
Oh,
few
right.
episodes of the
No,
podcast.
it was me, Orion, Aaron, and John.
Right,
I was a later great addition because John's never here. So
yeah. So yeah, it's just interesting to think back because what brought us together for this podcast was just this first issue of this new Venom series, brand new, and it's kind of sad for it's just a sad thought that we
End of an
trashed we trashed that book.
Oh yeah,
Because that was Lee Price. We hated Lee Price. Oh my gosh, we had so much to say about him. And then here we are at Venom number 200, and we're not stellar about all the happenings that have happened with this book, but at least we are a little bit happier than we were before. And I think that really, that tells us that we've come a long way since that first episode.
One hell of a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all I wanted to say about it. And that covers the Symbiote Comics of June 2021. We just had those 2 issues. Join us next month as the summer of Symbiotes really kicks off with Extreme Carnage, the final issue of Carnage Black, White, and Blood, and the 4th installment of Spider Shadow.
Interesting.
You can listen to We Are Venomaniacs on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Music and iTunes, Audible, and YouTube. We can also be found on Twitter at WAV_podcast. Check out our Discord server where you can geek out with a community of Venomaniacs like us. As always, thanks to my fellow co-hosts Carlos, Tyler, and Aaron for joining me today.
No problem.
Thanks for listening, you guys.
Ash is back,
baby.
And thanks to the Venom site for permitting us to make this podcast into the TVS banner, and all of your generous support. And finally, thank you, loyal listeners and fellow Venomaniacs. You guys make an awesome community, and it's an honor to be your voice on the airwaves. Together, we are Venomaniacs.